Hello, good evening. It is so exciting to chat with Suffolk's own alum, Wadie Abbas, and I am excited to um, interview you today as we celebrate American Heritage Month and hear about your story, hear about your time here at Suffolk. And I want to say thank you for coming to campus last week. That was a really amazing time that we had with the panel and you sharing your story. So this time I just get to do a round two with you, but on video. So without further ado, let's get started. Can you please tell us a little bit about your professional background and how you identify?
Yes, yes. Ade, thank you again for having me on here. It was a terrific time on the panel last week. So let's dive right in. Uh, I identify, I suppose, as an Arab American. Originally, I'm from Algeria, born there, came to the United States with my family at the age of 3. So definitely, I do resonate and identify very closely with my Algerian side, but of course, I did also spend a great portion of my life in America. We regularly visited the country, so I would definitely identify as Arab American and or Algerian American, African American even. So a few different things that you could toss in there.
Intersectionalities of our identities. That's amazing. What does Arab American Heritage Month mean to you?
I actually didn't even know it existed until now. So until you guys
Oh,
invited us to a panel, I had no idea that it existed. I was familiar with I think Hispanic Heritage Month, and I think there's also Black History Month, of course.
yes.
Those two I was familiar with, but I had no idea that this existed. That said, it seems like it is an interesting celebration of all cultures, or Arab culture in this case, and very similar how there is a celebration of Black culture and Black history and Hispanic culture. It seems like it's fair, I guess, if everybody else is getting a month, that Arab people also get a month.
And I think that because it's fairly new, that is one reason why a lot of people haven't heard about it. But I am grateful that it exists now. So
Absolutely.
glad that we get to celebrate and share about it. When you were here at a Suffolk university student, did you have places, people to interact with based on your heritage?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Suffolk does a pretty good job, as many universities do nowadays, with having an MSA present. We also had, I believe, an Arab League club that folks and students can join. We also had a club for students, which I was a part of, Students for Justice in Palestine. Back in the day, I'm not sure if that club still exists today. Maybe, given the obviously the current political climate. Um, uh, the good thing about Suffolk also is I recall that they had a prayer room, I believe in Sawyer, at a top floor. So that was also a nice, yes, the eighth floor, if I'm not mistaken. So that was definitely a nice amenity to have. So I think Suffolk is very accommodating to Arabs and Muslims, both, as I am both, I guess, Arab and Muslim. So definitely identified and leveraged some of those amenities and clubs that Suffolk had to offer.
I'm glad that that was something that was not only important to you, but that, the university had that in mind to provide an inclusive space. As, a person with Arab heritage, can you speak to any challenges that you may have faced in the workplace based on identity? And if you faced any, how have you navigated?
Yeah, definitely. There's a few that come to mind. Um, Number one, I think is like praying. So as a Muslim Arab, I guess we pray like 5 times a day. This might not just be, I guess, for Arabs, but particularly for maybe Muslim Arabs. We pray 5 times a day, and we also fast Ramadan. So those two things alone kind of set you different from, maybe the average person in the workplace, where you might need to step away for a few minutes to, go pray. or you might not be eating and maybe skip out on lunch with the rest of the coworkers in some cases. So those are a couple of factors that may have been trickier to deal with earlier on, but I think nowadays I'm optimistic on with the prevalence of the internet and sort of the more global approach and the information that we have all available to us. Folks are more aware of each other's cultures. People are now aware of Ramadan. They're aware that Muslims pray 5 times a day, and maybe they don't eat pork. So uh, they're trying. I would say some places are trying to be more accommodating, but it still can be sometimes hard to either break through and like inform folks of, hey, I'm fasting right now, so thanks for offering me this drink, but no thanks. Or I gotta go step away to pray, or I can't eat this lunch because it has pork in it, or something like that. So those are a few things that do come to mind. Of course, like during like socialization time as well, like if they're, usually at the office, there's like things such as called happy hours and so on. We don't, as Muslims, we don't drink. So that is also like an interesting uh focal point, because if you're the only one there kind of like trying to socialize with coworkers without, alcohol in your hand, then, it's not necessarily the easiest way to break the ice with folks. So that is another challenge. But that said, I think people are generally accommodating, and as long as folks are curious and respectful, we can like inform them of the situation and why we do or not do things. And I think oftentimes people are, they don't mind these kinds of things, and as long as you're, participating, it's typically a positive. But sometimes it can definitely be a challenge, or you may feel like an outsider because you're not necessarily partaking in some of those activities.
That respect transcends a lot of things, because you have to be able to respect people's cultures, decisions, and their values, and take those into consideration, because not everybody's going to do what everybody else is doing or whatever the majority is doing. So I really do appreciate sharing that. Um, Going from challenges to some successes,
Mhm.
what would you say is a highlight of your career that you deemed successful, and how that has shaped your journey so far?
Got it. A highlight in the sense of that may have been derived due to my Arab culture, or
Either that or just in general.
got it. Yeah. There's been I don't know, a few. I got a good chance to work on a few different projects. Maybe namely, I'll identify one recent success that I've had. Um, Currently we are working at Grubhub, or I am working at Grubhub, I should say, and we are currently working on a project, and have recently actually released a project that identifies restaurants that are trending and are, popular. Um, the way that we did this, maybe I can't speak on directly, but we used some intelligence and some data in order to identify these restaurants and acquire them onto our platform. And I helped lead this effort. And right now we're reaping the benefits of that success by seeing the acquired restaurants that we now have on the platform perform well as diners are ordering from them. So this here is one recent success that comes to mind off the top of my head.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And we last week we talked about the role of mentors and sponsors in advancing careers, and sometimes not just in advancing careers, but also just helping you, show you the way, being a listening ear. And what role would you say mentorship has played for you? Have you found it easy to look for or identify mentors who share the same heritage, or have you found it easier to have mentors who may not share the same heritage but support your heritage and your values regardless?
Right. I think there are more folks that are not of Arab descent, doing, product management and potentially even software engineering. However, there are many Muslims and many Arabs that I also have found in the space. So there's a healthy mix here and there. As far as my direct role, which is product management, and my direct sort of career path, again, I have not seen a ton. My mentor personally has been, I believe he's identifies as Italian, European American, effectively, of European American descent, I should say. But he, has taught me a lot about product management, and it's kind of different to seek advice from various people and or advisors and having a mentor. So a mentor will sort of, guide you and kind of be potentially, present with you throughout long phases of your career and kind of help you grow and kind of cultivate you and hopefully mold you into a better professional, let's say, in this sense. Um, Whereas an advisor, it could just be a coworker or a colleague that provides you with a little bit of advice. So I think in general, finding a mentor may be a little bit more difficult for anyone relative to just like an advisor or someone that can give you some good advice. That said, I don't think anyone should, exclude anybody necessarily based on their ethnicity or race, as long as they seem to perform well and you want to model your professional career or you want to get advice from them over time, you should seek to cultivate a relationship. Um, that's just beyond a simple word of advice. So if you guys can cultivate a relationship, typically you can establish a mentor-mentee relationship that transcends, just a piece of advice. And I've done that on both sides. I've both mentored people and have been a mentee, and I think it's good to do both to both cultivate yourself and grow yourself in your professional career, as well as help others grow and empower others to grow and potentially even it helps with team building that way. So you can also build a team of, smart, intelligent people to help you achieve your goals in the business.
You mentioned being a mentee as well. What would you say is a characteristics, or maybe more than one, if you'd like to share, of being a good mentee?
Absolutely, yeah. To be a good mentee, I think you have to be curious. So you willing to ask some questions, willing to, ask to actually be a mentee and sort of maybe being a little bit humble in that regard, because many people think that they know everything, and that's not always the healthiest idea to have. So that curiosity and that willingness is important. Um, and in addition to that, you have to also be willing to take constructive criticism. So not necessarily taking it personally when someone tells you you should do it better or here's another way to do it. Always, approach it with an open mind and be willing to take constructive criticism. And always just having an open mind to learn and explore new things, discover new things. So sort of kind of, playing back into the curiosity trait. I would say those two elements would probably alone take you a long way.
And final question for you. If you could give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
It's a good question. I would have probably, as an advice to my younger self, I would have probably gotten involved more at school with all the things that I could have. So if you are at school now or starting your journey in university, take advantage of as many things as possible. Join as many clubs as you can. Get involved with the school. Join teams if you have the opportunity to do so, and just get involved in as much as you can. So looking back at it, that's something that I would have done more. Obviously, we all have limited time, so maybe I
Yes,
couldn't
you
have
do.
been, yeah, as involved as I would have wanted to be, but that is something that I would just advise to everybody. And one more thing, which is pick up hobbies and develop and cultivate your hobbies, because eventually those hobbies might become, streams of revenue or businesses or passions of yours, lifelong passions that you just pursue. And you can meet friends, mentors, you can be a mentee, and they're great avenues to meet people and sort of, develop these relationships that could be with you for your entire life.
Love that. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I think that covers it. Ada, you asked some terrific questions. Hopefully this is a brief yet hopefully impactful interview for any of the viewers that you have.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And again, thank you for not only coming to campus last week and sharing your story and your journey, but letting me also capture this on video. So we appreciate you.
Likewise, and thank you guys for inviting the panel as well.